It's funny in hindsight, looking back at that period, like right before you moved, where, I think yourself and a lot of us were like kind of just watching you kind of take on this adversarial role with the scene, where like you were kind of getting like bitter and angry about things, and you had your reasons. Like it wasn't for
interesting. I was definitely doing that. You're 100% right. I never got a ton of input from other people in the scene as to what they thought when that was happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think typically when that kind of thing happens, it doesn't matter who it is. I think a lot of times people just kind of like let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Because it goes both ways in terms of the reason why I'm saying it's funny in hindsight is because I also feel like I went through like a similar sort of thing with the scene last year around maybe this time, where, yeah, I just felt suddenly like this place where it was like my main group of friends just like turned their back on me. And I think it also had a lot to do with me kind of withdrawing from like drinking and smoking. And people just found me less appealing to socialize with. And, and I think there's also like a like little offensive element of it too, where you feel like it's not just, because I don't think anyone would be like, he sucks now that he doesn't drink and smoke. I think that's probably like a rare observation, but I think it's just more like what naturally I am like difference wise versus the version of me that was smoking and drinking versus the me not. It's just not the same version. It's not the same kind of fun. Yeah. And it just doesn't align with a bunch of people. And so they just distance themselves naturally from you. You're not as attractive of a person to go talk to for them. You're just not on the same wavelength. But I was guessing going off too much on a tangent there, but
you're fine.
Yeah, I think you're very right about the lack of partying contributing to a social riff. Because I really, that's been the hardest thing for me, is like accepting that I'm going to lose a bunch of friends by making this change. And I think that that's definitely been the case. And it's helps on, and I know you're kind of went reverse direction, where it's like you've always kind of been the sober person. Now you're into it, and you're finding probably socializing more easy and fun in the scene.
So actually, are you talking about this scene specifically or comedy?
Just comedy in general.
I feel like more of that is on where I'm at in my, I feel like I'm such a dick in my career.
That's fine.
The more that I've gone around, the more that I've done things, the consistency with which I've done comedy, I've gotten better. I don't like to, I'm not going to like overinflate my own ego and be like, I'm good. Then you get into like, I deserve this, I deserve that. You don't really deserve anything. Yeah. Comedy's not a merit-based system. Yeah. No, I will say you've gotten really like polished at what it is you do, and I think you do it well, and you get the job done in terms of getting the audience to laugh and having your, like from a writing standpoint, it's very punched up and polished. I would not be where I am now if I was not so bitter and angry and jaded in 2017, 2019. It seems very clear that you transmuted a lot of that anger and resentment and this need to get the fuck out of the scene. Yep. And you were like, I'm going to do everything I can to get as good as I can at what it is I do in comedy. Yep. And I wasn't getting booked at the club here at the time. I wasn't getting asked to do independent shows that paid. Which like comedy isn't all about money, but like when at the scene at the time was not super strong, and I didn't feel like I was the best comic, but I was like, I felt like I should have been in some rotation. Yeah. And I think even at the time I agreed with you. I was like, it is kind of fucked up that, person A, B, and C are the ones that you see here so consistently, because, even as much as me, where I'm kind of like a fucking stuck up comedy snob, where it's like, I don't find any of you motherfuckers funny. Even I would be like, you're definitely at least, if not more funny than those people that are getting booked. And it's like, I don't want to put quality judgments on it like that. Because you can get into things with like bigger bigger names, like the TikTok stars, YouTube stars that sell out comedy clubs.
Yeah.
We were talking about that in the green room.
We're talking about the local pool.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
That's what I meant, yeah.
A little bit of that, too, is like, and 100%, it comes down to, like, personality. You can have somebody that's good, but if you don't like working with them, you don't like working with them. Exactly.
And I think that's what it boiled down to, was these social politics of like...
And I was bullied in the scene. That is how I felt at a certain point. There was like a clique of people. You know, that nerdy clique? You know that one?
Kinda.
Yeah. And like, it was every time I would try to like hang around those dudes at the open mic. I don't know if you've seen a lot, but like that, the like you gang up on one person to fuck with them. But it's not like, it's not shared. It's like we kind of genuinely don't like you.
Yeah.
And one person jumps on, the other people like join in.
Yeah.
And it's like it made me feel like, dude, I got bullied so much harder in the Wilmington comedy scene than I ever did in high school or college.
Yeah.
Any of that.
Wow.
Yeah. And one bald fuck was especially shitty to me. And I won't forget that. It changed me as a person. I think that's what contributed to me being like a little jaded as well, is that I didn't feel accepted in the social climate either. And yeah, I will fuck with new comics. I think they need to be fucked with.
Yeah.
You need to fuck with your peers. You need to fuck with new people coming in, not bully them. You know what I mean? Like, somebody does something bad, you come up to me and go, what the fuck was that? Like, that's like, it's funny. It's a one-off. You're in a one-on-one conversation. I feel like that changes the dynamic drastically as well.
Yeah.
But if there's always like the one guy that gets ganged up on in a like group situation, it's shitty.
Yeah.
So that contributed to part of it. I didn't feel like I was getting the recognition in the scene, but like wasn't getting like, you know, paid spots at different shows around town, not even at the club. And I was just very frustrated. And I think one of the last straws was I had submitted to the comedy festival and didn't get in one year. And it was like, they usually had like a certain number of spots for the local comics.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I've been busting my ass. I don't know what the reasoning was. Maybe I didn't send in a good tape. That's absolutely a valid reason. That could have been why I didn't get picked. I've since been on like the panel for a comedy festival, and I get it.
Yeah.
I've had friends who submitted, and it was a dog shit tape. And they're like, come on, man, you know me. I'm like, but man, like, I'm trying to do this fairly.
Yeah.
So in all fairness, I may not have gotten into that festival because I didn't give a good tape. But all that contributed to me being extremely frustrated, and that's part of the reason I left. I was also getting more work at Good Nights in Raleigh.
Yeah.
2 hours from where I lived than I was locally.
Right.
So it just made sense at the time to move.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I was long-winded.
No,
that
was perfectly great. Yeah, and to say a little more about, you know, my more recent experience with that, it just feels like a falling from grace socially in the scene. Like, you know, I feel like it was a combination of, like me just not being so fun to socialize with anymore. I also feel like during the pandemic, there was quite a strong like socio-political shift in just people in general. And I also think, like, because I can look back at old sets of mine where, like, I've never been a political comic by any means, but I do think that whenever I've had some jokes that maybe start to like touch on political subject matter, and just knowing what I was like psychologically and ideologically back then, I was a more left-leaning person. And I think I shared this very common, like, being in the liberal arts kind of community of, like, if I were going to attack someone politically, of course it's going to be those dumb right-wingers and a joke that disparages the dumb Christians or whatever like that. And
it's very easy to get applause on that in a college town.
It's extremely easy to get applause on that in a college town.
Applause, and goddamn, we're going for laughter.
Yes, exactly. And I think at a certain point, in COVID, like I think a lot of people that were already like that became radicalized without them knowing it. And they really just like doubled down hard on like the whole identity politics side of it, just fucking strangling the shit. Like, this really matters so much. And I think at that point was like, nah, I'm not coming with you. I don't see this to be a good place to go. And I think that also contributed to me not being socially desirable. And you know, I can think of a few people that, you know, specific friends in the comedy community that I feel like I was friends with for the longest time that I'm not anymore. And it's not like because I felt like they stopped fucking with me. You know, they stopped being kind to me. They stopped having any sort of respect or friendliness towards me, and I just watched it happen. And I guess I just like sort of just let it. And I don't know. I think I might have like squirmed a little bit and been like, "This sucks. I'm losing this friend clearly." And I'm not naming anyone, but yeah, and some people it's like, oh, of course, you know, like it's like, yeah, I saw this coming. Like, this person and I just don't get along. But then there's someone's like, damn, dude, like that was a good friend. Or not, maybe not. That was a good friend, but that was someone I liked being friends with. Yeah, and it sucks that they see me this way now. I bet if we had a conversation, we would be able to work this stuff out, but I don't think that they care to, and I don't think that they have the patience or the interest. I know it's all super vague, but
no, those are the fun ones. Yeah, I can't wait to get off here and be like, "Who are you talking about?"
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I would just say, to wrap up the sentiment there, it's like, it sucks to lose friends over becoming who you are. Yeah. And it's especially sucks to lose friends when you know that the direction you're moving in is like a positive direction. It's like a better for you. You're doing things that are for your physical health, your mental health. Yeah. You're doing better than you were. You're becoming more mature.
I don't feel like I was fucked with in the scene here. I did have people that I was friends with. And that, like, I needed to move. Yeah. Moved up to Raleigh. Probably should move somewhere else. Be honest with you. I love the Raleigh scene and everything, but like, if you're gonna make that move, like, probably go bigger.
Go far away.
Yeah. I say that, and then I'm like, well, I'm happy with where I'm at in 2023 because I did move to Raleigh. Yeah. There's some stuff that happened in between, but like moving from here, I was telling you earlier, I'm like, I miss Wilmington. I miss the time I had here in college. I miss the time of, like, you know, I was doing comedy here 3, 4, 5 times a week. You know, like 2015, 2016, I was doing improv at Dead Crow, do the mic the next day, maybe be on the weekend shows, maybe have a showcase somewhere else within driving distance. And I miss that. I miss the town, miss the vibe of it. Wilmington's like so relaxed, and it's very art centric. Raleigh's not. Right. Raleigh has somewhat strong art scene, but it's very, I don't even know how to describe it. It's very businesslike. Yeah. Like everybody has a very like steadfast, office job. Yeah. And, they go out to a comedy show, but, they're going out in a button up. It's like, who gives a shit? Yeah. You come here to Wilmington, you're like, God damn, that guy does not have a shirt on the Friday show. He's, he's regular.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's just such a totally different vibe. And it's like, you have other artistic comedy scenes and towns in North Carolina, like Asheville, which is more hippie. And you got, like Durham and I think Winston to an extent, that they're very artsy, they're very art forward first and foremost. And Wilmington to me is that when it comes to comedy, especially. Yeah. Like Wilmington is a breeding ground for characters is the best way I can put it, of like a lot of the times when I see people that started in Raleigh, it's like, oh, you are all about the jokes. That's important. That's a great facet of it. You can't be a comedian without jokes, but it's like they lack the character. And feel like people in Wilmington might have the opposite problem, if anything. You know, some of them are
all
great
character, no jokes.
Yeah, sometimes, but you know, there are also people that are like your character and jokes.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
And it's I don't even know what my point is with this. It's just interesting to see that that Wilmington is the art centric scene that is relaxed.
Yeah,
like that's another thing about Wilmington is it just is so relaxing. That's why people move here and retire here, because it's like beautiful beach town, and like the vibe here is just fucking cool.
Yeah,
and I miss that. And like seeing the more that you travel, the more you see the different scenes, and you just like figure out the little nuances of everything. It's like I can tell the difference between a New York comic and LA comic.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, you do this art differently.
Yes.
And I think based on where you start is kind of has an influence on that.